Hello friends, Chintamani Thakur here. Today we are going to look at the ls command. Ls is to list the files. So if we give a command called ls, it will list all the files. Let's look at which directory I am on to right now. I am to the tmp directory. Let's go to my home directory and just say ls. Okay. Right now there are no files here. So let me create some dummy files like touch f1, f2, f3, f say 4. Okay, so 4 files have been created. If I just say ls command, it shows you the files f1, f2, f3, f4. Okay, these are the 4 files which got created. Now ls has many options. Along with that, one of the options, most important one, is ls minus l. ls-l displays you 4 files which I just created from f1 to f4. The file is also called as a regular file. So if you see a hyphen at the left hand side, which means it's a regular file. We just created it, so we know that it's a file. Okay. If I create a directory, say mkdir d1, okay, then d1 becomes a directory. If I say ls minus l, again it will show you the output. D1 is a directory. On the left hand side, it shows d, so it's a directory. Hyphen means a file. Okay. This I have covered in one of my earlier sessions. So if you want, you can go through the session where I have described the type of files. Okay. So I'm just clearing it out. Then the next option of ls command is ltr command. Okay, or let's look at lt command first. LT command means that L is a long list there. The first option which we looked at. T is based on time. So ls minus l by default, what it does is it sorts the files based on uh, the names. Okay, only. Whereas the ls minus lt, that's t here, is based on time. Since the files have been created now, so it's not making much difference to us. But let's look at ls minus lt. Okay, so it's there on the screen now. Lt, which means the latest file, the newest file, will come at the top. Okay, there is file will come at the top. ls minus l command also is showing us same output because the directory name is d1. Let me try to do something else. So let's do a make directory z1. Okay, again clear the screen so that it comes at the top, and now do the same command ls minus l. It is displaying the file names d1, which is actually a directory, then f1 to f4, which are files, and z1 is a directory. It's sorting based on the file name. So these files are sorted based on the file names. Whereas ls minus lt, where long list t is time, this is sorted based on time. Z1 file was created few seconds back, so it has come at the top. D1 was created just before that, and the other 4 files were created a minute before that. So this is sorted on time. If we want to make it reverse, just add a r to it. R is for reverse. So say ls minus ltr. So it sorts based on time, but in reverse order. It is exactly the reverse of the previous output which we got. So z1 is coming at the bottom. So ls has these 3 very important options which are widely used and in fact most of the time used. Okay. Uh, so we'll go to the next option, which is ls along with a option. So right now I am into my home directory. When I say ls minus l or ltr or any other option, it shows you by default, it shows you all the files and directory except one set of files which start with a dot. So let's try to see what I'm trying to say. When I say ls minus la, this time it is showing all the files which starting with dot. By default, it does not show. So if you want to see all the files, including the files which start with dot, you need to give a command ls with options minus l, which is long list, and a, which will show you the files starting with dot. Now by default, each directory maintains its parent directory link, so that's why it says dot and double dot. dot means current directory, double dot means the parent directory or the previous directory, along with the other files. So there is a difference between the previous command where it showed only directory d1 and z1 along with f1 to f4. This time it is showing that is d1 along with z1 and f1 to f4, but it is also showing the files starting with dot. So L and A here, the A option means that it will not ignore the files starting with dot, which means in short it will show the files starting with dot also. Then there are some other options. So let's try to clear the screen, go on the top so that it looks better. When I say ls, it's showing you the list. Now what happens is, just by looking at it, we'll not be able to find out which is our file or which is a directory. It might show it in a different color, but don't go by color. Unix and Linux, most of the time it's a black and white screen, so it is not very easy to find out on the colors, or maybe somebody has changed it or made it as an alias or something. So what we'll do is we'll run a command called ls minus p. When you say ls minus p, what it does is it shows you again the list of the files. This time it shows a slash at the end whenever it is a directory. In this case, d1 is a directory, z1 is a directory, so at the end you'll see that there is a slash, which means that it's a directory. So the previous command ls and ls minus p, the small difference is that if it is a directory, it will show a slash there. Otherwise it will not show it as a slash. So if it is not showing a slash, it means it is not a directory. It doesn't mean that it is a file. I mean, in this case it is a file, but there are certain other types of files which can be there. Okay, so ls minus p is used when you want to distinguish between a directory and a non-directory. That is what it means. Okay, let's look at R option, which is capital R option. There are two options. One is lowercase r, which is reverse, and capital R, which is recursive. Now, what do you mean by recursive? Let's create a directory, one more directory, say P1. Okay. Now, in one of the directories, say P1, which we just created, let's go into that directory. So, change directory P1 and create few files. So, say touch and say P11 space P12 and say P13. So I created three files now. Now if I try to say ls minus l, it will show you three files. But of which directory I am in? I am in the P1 directory itself. I go one directory back, and if I say ls minus l, it will show you the directories and files in this directory, but it will not show you the files which are there in P1 directory. Okay. So suppose you want to see the files in the P1 directory as well as in the current directory, or any of the subdirectories within the P1 or subdirectories within the current directory, then you need to add an option, capital R. This will show you all possible details from the current directory. Current directory has three directories. It has four files. So the directory D1 is not having anything. Okay. Directory Z1 is also not having anything, and P1 is having three files. That is what it is showing. So capital R here means recursive. So it will recursively show all the files and directories within the directory, irrespective of how many directories are there. Even if there are 100 subdirectories and 100 subdirectories below that, it will show all of them. Okay. Now let's look at one more option, which is capital S. So let's say, so here I have files and directories, so the size is less, it would be difficult, but let's run the command so that we know what I'm trying to say. Say ls minus l and s, so it sorts the files and directories based on the size. P1 directory is having few files, hence the size of that directory is 36. Size of d1 and z1 is only 6, whereas the files are actually having nothing, 0. So let's open one of the file. I'll use a vi editor and see, this is is a file which contains some information. Okay, and just save it. Just clear the screen so that we are at the top, and say pwd. We are into a home directory. Let's also see where what is there in the file. So f1 is the file which is of 49 now, 49 bytes. Okay, so it is showing in bytes. It has contents, 2 lines and 1 blank line at the end. But now if you say ls minus l and capital S, then it has sorted the files and directories based on the size. The size of f1 is 49 bytes. Size of directory p1 is 36, so it is second. Size of d1 and z1 is 6, so it is the next. Then there is f2, f3 and f4 because it is 0 bytes. Okay, so that is about capital S, which is the sorting it based on the size of the file. Okay, now we'll look at one more option, which is minus f option. So let's do, okay, what it does is it will show you the type of files. So let's try to go to /tmp, because that is the place where there might be two files which are of different type. So there are some files here. So let's look at ls command along with minus f. If I say ls minus f, then there are few things and we have to notice it very carefully. If you see dummy here is a file. Dummy1 is a file. Okay, how do I know whether it is file or not? Because we have learned ls minus l command. We'll do that first. So ls minus l command show you a hyphen on the left hand side, which means it is a regular file. If it is a directory, it shows D. So dummy2 is a directory, and then there are few more directories. But there are few more files which are of different type. Like if you can see here, this is P. So this is actually a named pipe. Again here there is a P. So it's a named pipe. It's a concept, and Unix also uses this concept called pipe. There are two types of pipes: unnamed and named pipes. So we are not going into the depth of it. But this is a type of a file. Okay, let's clear the screen again, and let's look at the ls minus l once again. Okay, this is the directory. Okay, so when we give ls minus f, okay, so it would not come up in one of the screens, so we have to correlate or try to relate it. So sorry, I did a wrong option there. So let's do already ls minus f. Okay, so here it is showing dummy and dummy1. Now we know that these are files. Now if you see a slash at the end, it's a directory. If you remember, we had already done this earlier when we said ls minus p. The difference is ls minus p will show you directories and non-directories, whereas ls minus f will show you each type amongst the list of files which we have. What it means? It means that if it is a pipe that is named a pipe, it's a concept in Unix, Linux, and C programming, Python, etc. So if you see a pipe here, it's a named pipe. If you see a slash at the end, then it is a directory. If you see a equal to at the end, then it's a socket file. So I have created a dummy socket file here called somesocket. So it created that. So it's actually a socket file. Then star would mean it's an executable file. So for example, suppose I create a file, say exe1. You should not give this name, but I'm just giving it for the explaining sake. So and I change the mode. Change mode is a command to change the permissions on a file to executable file in this case. So u plus x means give execute permissions to the user for the file exe1. If I say ls minus x exe1, it shows that it has execute permission. Okay, it has turned green because I am onto Linux system. But as I said, you should not believe on the colors. Unix believes, I mean this putty tool or any other tool believes in black and white, so they are still in black and white world. Okay, so coming back to this, so ls minus l is showing you that it's a file, but it's an executable file. Now let's try to do the same command once again. So I'll say ls minus f this time. Let's do ls minus f. If you see exe1 and then a star is displayed. A star is displayed because it's an executable file. Similarly, if there are symbolic links, then it will show you at the rate sign. So to see how it works, let's go to a place where there are symbolic links. So let's go to the root directory. If you try to see ls minus f here, okay, it will show you several directories, files, etc. If you see at the rate here, you're seeing a at the rate here. You're also seeing a at the rate at the end of sb, at the end of lib, and also lib64. It means that they are symbolic links. There is another YouTube video of mine where it explains you these type of files. But if you just do ls minus l, it will show you just to correlate. Bin, if you see here, bin is at the rate, which means it's a link. So if you see on at the top, bin is actually a link to a different directory called usr bin. If you see on the left hand side, it shows L here, which means that it's a link. So whenever there is a link, which is also called a symbolic link, then it will show at the rate. If it is directory, it will show slash. Like I explained you earlier, if it is equal to at the end, it is socket. If it is pipe symbol, then it's a named pipe. It is also called as FIFO. FIFO is FIFO, first in, first out. If it is a slash, it means a directory. That's about the F option. It is sometimes very helpful, especially when you write some Unix or Linux shell scripts. Okay. Now, if you want to work on these things, obviously you have to write some C programs. But there are few commands in Unix also where you can do that. Say, for example, suppose I say mkinfo some pipe one. Actually, I'm having less permissions because I have been logged in as my own login ID. I can't write into slash, that's why it is showing permission denied. So I'll go to tmp directory, which is writable by anybody. Okay, so let's run this command again. Maybe you can have say some pipe 2. Okay, let's create some other. So it has created that. So I think there was already one file by some pipe 1. Let's see. No, it's not there. Anyways, that was in a different directory, and also permission denied was because of the slash there, which means I was in the root directory. So if you say some pipe, here it shows some pipe, which is a p. P means it's a pipe. The command to create a dummy sort of a pipe is mk. Mk is make. FIFO is first in first out. Named pipe are under first in first out concept. Okay. So for example, if you want to do creating a socket or something, then you need to write C program. Similarly, pipes are normally created using some applications, either by writing C or C++ programs or Python programs and so on. So if you want to create a socket, just to demonstrate, I'll say I'll use Python, and I'll on the fly create one small code. We'll first import the socket as some variable, say s, and then we'll actually say or create a socket and bind it to a file which will be there in the slash tmp directory. So if you see, I'll just press enter. So if Python is there, and if you have sufficient permissions, binaries, etc., then you can create it. It is now saying address already in use, which means that this is already there, which means this particular socket is already existing. So if you want to check, then what we can do is just see some socket. It might be there from one of my earlier. Yes, it is there. So that's why it did not allow. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let's create some socket 2. Okay, so this time it has created that socket. Now if you try to see the ls command, let's try to list both the sockets. So let's say some star or something like that. Say some sock star. Okay. So it will show you two sockets here. One was created by root, and one is created by me, sorry, which is called as somesocket. If you see, it's s at the start, which means that it is a socket. So if I try to do a ls minus f command here, now the scenario is, once again to recap, if there is nothing, it's a file. I mean nothing at the end, it is a file. If it is slash, it's a directory. If it is star at the end, it is an executable. If it is a pipe, then it's a pipe that is named pipe. Then if it is equal to, then it's a socket. Then you have okay, so we are almost covered here. So these are the types of the files. Type of the files can be taken up using ls minus lrt and just observing the left hand side, the leftmost character of the permissions which are there. And the other way is doing ls minus capital F. When you do shell scripting, that is Unix or Linux shell scripting, if you use ls minus l, then it makes the things much complicated. So what you can do is you can loop through the files which are there. For that you can actually use the output of the command ls minus f. So so we have seen most of the commands which are used along with ls option, and some demonstration or some how to do it and so on. It can be used with other tools of Unix and Linux, and you can write shell scripts. You can call ls inside the shell script, and so on. Thank you for today. This is James Chintamani signing off.